Chapter 9. Back into the maze. Allie trod behind the others as they descended a long, dark staircase lined with booby traps and skeletons. She tried to focus on the back of Annabeth's head instead of her surroundings, but it was difficult when the stairs were uneven and crumbling in places. When they finally reached the bottom of the stairs, an ominous tunnel stretched on before them, branching 3 ways not so too far ahead. Without hesitation, Rachel led them down the middle corridor, the darkest one. She told them she was following a faint glowing path on the floor of the labyrinth. If Allie hadn't spent the majority of her life fleeing, fighting, and chasing unbelievable things, she would have thought Rachel was crazy. Thankfully for the frizzy-haired, red-headed mortal, Allie had been to the underworld and back twice. She'd seen the realm of dreams, and she'd faced countless monsters. Following a mortal through an endless maze with no idea whether she knew where she was going or not was nothing. Allie stuck close to Annabeth, trying not to make things awkward as she walked between her and Percy. She didn't want to get lost, but after the last couple days they'd had, she didn't want to play with his emotions anymore. She'd come along to protect him. That's it. She kept repeating the words as they trudged onward. She could feel the warmth of his body as he walked next to her. Suddenly Rachel stopped. Cutting off their path was a massive Lastrygonian giant. He held a club as big as a horse as he glowered down at the 4 teenagers. "What's this?" His voice was deep and gravelly. "Some good luck at last." Something hissed behind them. 2 Draconi emerged from the shadows, their serpentine legs writhing and tensing as they walked. Allie gripped the hilts of her swords. Her enemies were too close to use a bow. "Oh, there's no need for that," one of the snake women hissed, brandishing a sword of her own. "We don't mean to hurt you." The second Draconi smirked. "At least, not yet." The giant pounded the ground with his club, cracking the floor directly in front of Rachel. "Patience," the first Draconi chided. "We have our orders. We must bring them to him." The giant huffed but placed his club on his shoulder and glared at Allie and the others. "Move." Allie tensed, ready to fight, but Percy grabbed her wrist. She met his gaze, the angry fire in her eyes faltering as he shook his head. Sighing, she released her blades and followed the Draconi down the dark tunnel. Allie glared back at the Draconi as she jabbed the tip of her sword into Allie's back. "Is that really necessary?" "Why?" The snake woman had a nasally tenor voice that reminded Allie of fingernails on a chalkboard. "Uncomfortable?" The other Draconi turned on her and gripped her chin in her scaly hands. "Oh, do be quiet." Her voice was raspier than her sister's. "I'm trying to relish this victory. He will be quite pleased to see we've caught you, Aliana Breck." "You're right," Allie conceded, catching the snake woman off guard. "Let's hurry this up. There's a certain son of Hermes I can't wait to punch." The Draconi hissed and Allie felt the sword twist deeper into her back, almost cutting into her. The second snake woman, the leader as it seemed, sneered at her. "Shall we?" She turned on her snake legs and led them forward. Finally, they reached a door. Allie could hear cheering and loud crashing inside. Never a good sign. The Draconi leader threw the doors open with a lavish and strode triumphantly into the room. They entered a vast arena. The stands were crowded with monsters, the banners hung from the ceiling. A huge Cyclops sat overseeing the brawl below. Next to him, in the seat of honor, was Luke, watching their group intently as they walked in and stood along the edge of the battlefield. When the fight ended with one of the monsters disintegrating into a cloud of golden smoke, Luke stood from his seat. "Welcome. I was wondering when you would find your way here." He was focusing on Percy, but his eyes flashed with anger when his gaze fell on Allie. You're supposed to be dead." She glared up at him, a smug smirk tugging at the corners of her mouth. "You know what they say. If you want something done right, do it yourself." He growled and turned back on Percy. Care to test your mettle, Jackson? Percy shrugged. Nah, I'm good. Luke smirked. Bold of you to think I was asking. One of the Draconi forced Percy into the arena. He glared at her as he stumbled away. On the other side of the arena, a boy wearing full armor and an eye patch emerged from an opening, his sword flashing in the torchlight. Allie held her breath as the two boys fought. Her heart skipped a beat as Percy lost ground, but it wasn't long before the boy with the eye patch was on the ground with Percy's blade against his throat. Finish it, the Cyclops bellowed. Percy shot him a defiant look, then stood and offered the boy his hand to help him up. The Cyclops released an angry roar and shook the entire arena. You dare defy me? He turned to the giant, holding Annabeth. Kill her. Wait, Luke blurted. He took a deep breath to regain his composure. Perhaps another fight. One between brothers. He looked from the Cyclops to Percy. Allie moved to stand by Percy, but the Draconi grabbed her, stabbing her sword into her spine. The Cyclops eyed Percy intently. So be it. He stood from his massive throne-like chair and descended to the arena floor. Percy stared up at his huge opponent. He didn't have much of a chance, but he brandished his sword and gave the Cyclops an award-winning smirk. Bring it on, ugly.